Episode of Work Harder coming at you guys this Saturday morning that we decided to get together and do this. I am your host, Maddie Lukewarm Ice, and my co-host for this early morning podcast is Chris the Gorilla Binder.
What's up, guys?
How goes it this morning there, Chris?
Man, it's early. It's still dark outside.
A little bit here for me. not too much light, but I do appreciate you getting up early so that way we could get a episode done and taken care of before we start our Saturdays. I know I got a bunch of moving to do and getting some furniture packed away and whatnot. So fun stuff. It'll be a busy couple weeks here coming up for us. But let's start off with what's going down. And, we can't really talk about a Thursday night football game because there wasn't a Thursday night football game. I think out of all the things basically that have gone down here recently, that's like the most, important and most out there was actually in the NBA. The NBA had a big trade that had happened. It was the Houston Rockets and the Washington Wizards trading players. So the Rockets send over Russell Westbrook, and the Wizards send over to the Rockets John Wall. If I am correct with that, it was John Wall, wasn't it?
John Wall and a first-round pick. Yep.
And a first-round pick when it comes to that. So does this mean that Harden is in the works of leaving as well still, do you think, because of this trade? Or was this trying to get him to stay? So they're trying to get him to not leave?
I think this was trying to get him to stay because I think maybe he can play better alongside John Wall. Him and Westbrook don't play well together because they're both ball hogs, where John Wall's he likes to score his points, but at the same time, he's more of a facilitator than Russell Westbrook was. He's more of get the ball out, like get people open and push the ball up the court. So I think it's a move to try to keep James Harden, but I don't think it's going to work still.
Yeah. It's one of those things where the Rockets have always tried to bring in these big name stars to work together, but the Rockets have never been able to like gel with any of their big stars to get them like over the hump. I don't even think they've made it to the Western Conference Finals, have they? Ever since they've gotten Harden?
No.
Yeah.
No. This year, I think it was the first year they got past the first round. Like they want to go back to the days of the '90s when Jordan was playing baseball and they won the championship twice in a row. But they had like Hakeem Olajuwon, Charles Barkley, Clyde Drexler. They had the big three back then too. So, and then Jordan comes back and they couldn't beat him.
Yeah, I mean, when I heard about the trade, I was thinking, if we were actually allowed to go see games, I would be able to go see Russell Westbrook, whenever I wanted, with him being a Wizard. But I doubt that they're going to be doing any fans for a long time, even with the NBA starting up here shortly. Is there any trades that you think will happen before the season gets started? Because I feel like it's coming up here pretty soon, the season.
See, I was thinking that the Nets were going to trade Kyrie Irving over to try to get James Harden. But now that the Rockets have John Wall, why would they need Kyrie Irving? Why do you want two superstar point guards? So that trade just doesn't make sense now. I really don't see any big trades happening. I know the Lakers traded off. I think it was who was it? It was JaVale McGee like right after signing him. Like they signed him to an extension. He's like, yeah, I'll stay with the team. We'll gel this team together after Dwight Howard said he wasn't coming back. So they signed JaVale McGee so they have a big man. And then they go and get Marc Gasol, so they trade JaVale McGee off. It's like, all right, cool. The guy shows some loyalty to you, and you just like kick him out the door when a bigger name comes through.
Yeah. Unfortunately, my Anthony Davis hopes got crushed because he had signed a 5-year, $190 million deal to stay with the Lakers. So my dreams of him becoming a Chicago Bull has now been shattered.
At least for 5 more years.
Yeah, when it comes to that. So my Bulls can't catch a break. They're not able to get any of those big free agents to come their way, unfortunately. So, I mean, it looks like the season is starting on the 11th. So that's, coming up here really soon, that they're going to start having games again. I was trying to see, because I thought I saw something the other day talking about having like a shorter season or something like that the NBA was announcing, but I can't find the article now. And maybe I was just seeing things, but I thought they were saying that they were going to do a shorter season with everything going on. Yeah, it's not pulling up.
I'm actually looking for it right now, so.
Yeah, it's not pulling up like any of the articles that I thought that I was seeing before.
Yeah, no, they're saying each team will play a full 72 games.
Wow.
No. Yeah, so it is a shorter season because normally they play 82.
Yeah, they normally play more because 72, wasn't that the record that the Warriors broke or whatever?
Yeah, it was 72-10, and they went 73-9, I think. So it was 82 games, but they dropped it down to 42. So what it actually says is you'll face each opponent in your conference 3 times, so 42 total games, and then each opponent in the other conference twice. So 30 games.
Huh, fair enough. Alrighty, well, we'll see how the NBA season ends up going. It'll be interesting to finally see KD, playing again after being injured for so long. And, like you said, he, I guess, was having that beef with Kyrie Irving. So it'll be interesting to see how that dynamic's going to work out with the Nets because everyone had such high hopes for the Nets with having KD and him on the team. I could possibly see like the Bucks, the Heat, and the Nets being like the top 3 teams coming into the season, in the East at least, because the Heat kind of made a statement last year with making it all the way to the finals. Now I know teams don't really care about the regular season. They just want to be able to get to the playoffs, and then they actually start trying. But I feel like those 3 teams will kind of be the teams to beat. And then I think in the West, you obviously have to put the Lakers up there since they're the defending champs. I think the Clippers will try to come back with a vengeance. And then I would say, I don't know, I would say maybe Dallas, because, I mean, they have one of the best, players, young players, at least right now, in the NBA. So I think those 3 are kind of, going to make a statement in the West. Who do you like from the East and the West coming into the season?
So the East, I have to agree with like the Nets and the Bucks. But my third team is probably going to be the 76ers.
Oh, really?
Well, yeah, because they've got Joel Embiid, of course. They have Ben Simmons, and then they actually signed Dwight Howard. So having two big men down there, like, it's going to take some pressure off Joel Embiid a little bit. Like, people will kind of gravitate towards Dwight Howard. Like, he's not the scoring machine, but you're going to definitely try to block him out. So, I mean, that takes away some of the double teams for Joel Embiid, so it's going to open them up a little bit. So I think they're going to be a tough team this year. In the West, definitely the Lakers, the Clippers, of course, after signing Serge Ibaka. And then I'm honestly thinking the Blazers are going to be pretty tough this year.
All right. Like that kind of like a real dark horse, out of the West. I like that. I mean, you can't go wrong with Lillard. I mean, he's a one-man wrecking crew. If he had maybe a couple more people to help him out, I think, that team would be, a lot more to deal with. But unfortunately, it's kind of all on his shoulders. He doesn't really have too much of a crew around him. So, alrighty. Well, that's what's going down in the NBA. So that's coming up here soon. So it'll be exciting to start talking about the games when it comes to that. Let's see.
Have they announced when the NHL is going to start back up?
I'm not sure. I haven't really seen any news with that. Let's look here.
They said they're aiming for a mid-January start with a 52 or 56 game schedule. The initial target of January 1st became unfeasible.
Yeah, mid-January start. So that'll be coming up here pretty soon too. Looks like the Seattle Kraken are staying patient with coaching search, so they still haven't found a coach yet for the new Seattle team. Which I don't think they're starting this year, are they? The Seattle Kraken? Is it 2021 that they're going to start, or is it 2022?
I'm not sure. Let's find out. 21-22 season.
Oh, so the 22 season.
Yeah, so they call it the 21-22, but it's going to be next year. So, not this upcoming season, but the season after.
Season after that, yeah. They're probably still building the stadium and stuff like that, and like they said, I guess they're taking their time trying to find a coach. So. Alrighty, well, just to go over some college football stuff that's been going on right now for the playoff rankings. They still have Alabama at 1, Notre Dame at 2, Clemson at 3, and Ohio State at 4. And then on the outside bubble is Texas A&M, Florida, and Cincinnati. A lot of talks have been saying that they're for the ACC that they're just going to cancel the Clemson game and the Notre Dame game, and then go straight into the ACC championship game, which would be Clemson versus Notre Dame again. Do you think if Clemson loses the ACC championship game again against Notre Dame, that they'll be out of the playoffs?
Yeah. At that point, they would have to, even if Trevor Lawrence didn't play. They would have to put in, I think Cincinnati should be higher than Texas A&M, honestly. Cincinnati is a much better team. Texas A&M's had a stronger schedule that they have to play against, but Cincinnati has shown that they're definitely a resilient team, and like they tear people apart. But if Clemson loses again to Notre Dame, they're going to have to take them out of the top four, and they're going to have to put somebody else in there. And I think it's probably actually going to end up being Florida that goes in.
Oh, you think yeah, I feel like it's reverse, and Clemson does beat Notre Dame. I feel like Notre Dame and Clemson will both get in.
Yeah.
So if Clemson ends up beating them, they'll each have one loss, and that'll be the top four. I don't know if I see any way of Alabama or Ohio State maybe losing their games. Ohio State's not even going to have that many more games to play. I mean, they've only played 4 games. Do you think Ohio State deserves to be in with only having like 5 or 6 games probably by the end of the season?
I mean, I don't see why you take it away from them. Like, I don't see how. Like, I see how you can take it away, but I don't see why you would. Like, why take that option away from that team? They've came in, they've dominated every game. Like, none of their games were close. So, I mean, they're definitely a perennial powerhouse, but there's an argument for both ways. There really is. It's just it's hard to say.
I mean, the way I look at it is, they started their season late, obviously, so that's why they're not playing as many games. But their strength of schedule has really not been anything to talk about, and we kind of mentioned that with Cincinnati as well. But at least Cincinnati has been playing all of their games, or at least most of them. So, hand them, credit when it comes to that. I know a lot of people were making a big deal about BYU because BYU is 9-0 right now, and basically when I was listening to Fox Sports Radio the other morning on my way to work, they were talking about how BYU basically had to find people to play because no one wanted to play them with everything going on with COVID. And they basically said, we'll play anyone who's willing to play us anytime, anywhere. And they've been kind of just doing their schedule on the fly. Like they haven't really had, any games that were, set in stone, and they're 9-0. They're in the top 25. They're ranked 13th. So the simple fact that they're talking about BYU though on Fox Sports Radio is, something to, tip your hat to, and for them to be able to be mentioned in how they're doing their games, the strength of their schedule. So they're playing East Carolina, who's ranked 18th. They're playing them today at 5:30. So, I mean, even with a team like that that's already played 9 games, I mean, do you feel that they should be ranked higher with having a 9-0 record?
No, because who have they played? Like, who have they actually beat?
Let's take.
I don't think they've beat any big name schools. I could be wrong.
That's what I was gonna say. I'm gonna take a look here. Let's see. So they've beaten Navy, Troy, Louisiana Tech, USTA. Houston is a pretty big name school, so they beat Houston. Texas State, Western Kentucky. Ooh, they beat Boise State. That's a big win because
they destroyed Boise State, 51-17.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. They're averaging like 45 points a game. Good Lord.
Yeah. So
I don't follow BYU, so even though I live in Utah, never been a fan. But yeah, wow.
That's what I'm saying, and they're like blowing people out of the water. And it was funny, and they mentioned on the Fox Sports Radio that like their offensive line is basically like grown men because they like went on their missions and stuff like that. So they were just like, yeah, these guys aren't just like college students. They're like grown men that are like in there playing offensive line for like BYU. So they're like just throwing people around. And you can tell because of, like you said, they're averaging like 40 points a game, like 45 points a game. Like,
They have one game under 40 points, and they scored 20. That was against the UTSA. They went 27-20. Every other game is over 40 points.
yeah.
And like most of their games are not close. Like that's the only one that's really close.
Well, I know they have the quarterback for BYU in the Heisman discussion. So, you know, he he's been up there and getting some credit uh, for that. I mean, it looks like right now for the season he has 26 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. So, I mean, that's pretty good.
Wow. That's crazy. I didn't realize they were doing that good because, like I said, I don't follow BYU.
Yeah, so
I just know Utah sucks.
yeah, they have not been doing very well.
Well, they were playing Washington and they had a 21 or 24 to nothing lead going into halftime. Yeah, it was 21 to nothing going into halftime, and they lose 24 to 21. I'm like, wait, what? What the hell happened?
Oh yeah. Alrighty, well, let's get into the NFL games and what's been going on with that. So to kind of review and go over some of the games that happened this past weekend, the most recent was Wednesday because they had to postpone the Ravens Steelers game like a million times. The Steelers ended up winning 19-14 against the Ravens. Ravens playing without Lamar. They had RG3 in there. They didn't have.
And they benched him.
Huh?
And then they benched him.
Yeah. And then they had two of their running backs out. So they were kind of playing against a depleted Ravens team, but yet the Ravens still almost pulled it out. Does that really show how much the Steelers have kind of been getting lucky, with these games that they're still undefeated, or do you still think they're kind of, a powerhouse?
So it's hard to say because I don't think the Steelers played as hard as they could have or as hard as they would have had Mark Ingram, J.K. Dobbins, and Lamar Jackson actually been playing. I think it would have been a different game if they were all in there. I don't necessarily think the Ravens would have won, but I think the Steelers would have played a lot harder. I think they kind of realized that it was a depleted team and they didn't want to beat up on them any more than they were already beat up on. So they kind of took it a little easier than they normally would. I think it was more of the respect factor for the team than them not being the powerhouse that they've shown all year.
Yeah, I mean, I think a little bit of a bad sign for the Steelers. I think they need to start playing to their level instead of playing to the level of their competition. Like I think they need to, get their own hype and get their own going. If they played someone, like the Chiefs, maybe they'd be playing to the level of the Chiefs. But they were playing the Ravens, so they were playing to the level of the Ravens, and with them being depleted. And I know the coach came out and said that he was not happy, of course, with how they played in the game. The Steelers coach said that he was not happy with how the game turned out. So yeah, another game to point out, and then I'll let you point out a couple games. The one I thought was interesting was the Chiefs Buccaneers game. Tyreek Hill, man, unprecedented. He was over 200 yards receiving and I think 2 touchdowns before the second half was even over. He was just a machine against the Bucks secondary, and for fantasy, I'm not gonna lie, Tyreek Hill made it where I won fantasy football this week. He was a godsend for me because he scored 44 fantasy points for me. It was just unreal. But the Chiefs kind of, were stepping on the gas pedal in the first half, and then the second half they kind of like let up, and the Bucks were starting to make a comeback. I think the Chiefs are doing the same thing where they're not playing to the level of what they can do. They're playing to the level of their competition, and it'll be interesting to see once they get a challenge what they, are trying to do to win. If they only lose one game this season and don't get the bye, it's going to be unheard of. They'll go what is it, 16-1, and then 15-1, and then not get a first round bye. That would just be crazy. But because of the Steelers, if the Steelers go undefeated. But what did you think of that the Chiefs Bucks game?
It just proved that the Bucks weren't on the level that everybody thought they were at the beginning of the season. Like everybody's like, oh, they're going to be able to challenge the Chiefs for the Super Bowl, and nope, like not at all. So it was funny. You were actually talking about fantasy. My wife last week, for her fantasy team, she played a team that had no quarterback in their lineup, and they had no running back. Like one of their running backs was out in their lineup, but lost because they had Tyreek Hill. I was like, oh, this is going to be an easy win. Nope. Damn Tyreek Hill. I don't like Tyreek Hill, but just because he's on the Chiefs and, being a woman beater and everything. But so I don't have a lot of respect for him, but as a person, but as a football player, like that dude is unstoppable. How the hell is he 5'10", can jump through the stadium and like still be able to outrun anybody on the field? Like it's insane. Like there are no cornerbacks, no defensive backs, no safeties that can keep up with that dude. He gets going in the open field, he's gone. And he catches everything. He catches literally everything. Like when they played the Raiders a couple weeks back, like that was insane because like he caught a ball that he was diving to the ground and the ball, like he scooped it up off of the ground, tucked it in and rolled. Like nobody else should, like that ball should not have been caught. Like he one hand caught scooping it off the ground.
Yeah.
The dude's a machine, so I think he's a Terminator.
He's not real. He's in a secret government lab somewhere where he catch footballs and run fast.
Yep.
Are there a couple games that you wanted to point out that stood out to you?
No, I got pissed off this week and I quit watching football, so we all know why.
Yes, we all know why.
How about the Rams game? The Rams.
Yeah. The Rams game was definitely very disappointing. I think when people start throwing ideas out there, like when reporters start saying stuff and asking stuff, and the coach has to address it, I think it starts turning into an actual thing. And they were asking Sean McVay if he's going to bench Goff. And he said, I never ever thought about benching Goff. He did criticize Goff, and he said he needs to take care of the ball better. And that was the first time that I've seen McVay actually criticize one of the players and not take the blame for himself. Golf, unfortunately, has just been a turnover machine. He fumbles way too much. He throws too many unnecessary picks. Um, I think it's going to turn into a thing where, at least by the end of the season, that McVay is going to be told by the Rams owner, you need to go a different route. Like, trade Goff, you know, draft a new quarterback in the draft, whatever it takes. And I think the Rams are going to go down a new route because there's too many people complaining about Goff. And once that starts happening, and once the reporters start saying that, like, something's going to happen because um, just like you said, what was it? You said something about a team where they said, "Oh yeah, we're not going to fire him," and then they fired him like right after. Um, was it one of the coaches, one of the head coaches? I think that had happened.
Um,
Me and you were talking about that because you were just like, "Oh yeah, they said they weren't going to fire him, and then they fired him like the next day." Like,
yeah, but I don't remember what it was.
but anyways,
I'm brain farting. Yeah.
it was something like that. But I mean, don't do you agree or not agree that once people start throwing those ideas out there, they kind of start gaining momentum?
Once people are talking about it, yeah, like somebody will bring it up, and then it just kind of it grows exponentially from there because one person talks about it with one person, and that person talks about it with somebody, and then it just keeps growing, and it ends up becoming a bigger fire than can be controlled. And like with the Goff situation, like everybody's like, oh well, he led them to a Super Bowl. No, he threw for 2,800 yards and like I think it was like 24 touchdowns and 14 interceptions that year. Like it wasn't Goff that led the team to the Super Bowl. It was Todd Gurley and the defense that led the Rams to that Super Bowl. That's why when Todd Gurley was out of the Super Bowl, they couldn't even move the ball. Like the Patriots weren't that good that they shut the Rams down. It was the Rams didn't have an offense anymore because they didn't have Todd Gurley. Now they've got like Malcolm Brown to kind of bail them out. Malcolm Brown's a beast. They have is it Henderson or whatever, Henderson Jr.
Yeah, Henderson.
Yeah,
The rookie Cam Akers has been doing good too.
yeah. You have a three-headed running back. Like all three of those running backs are actually really good running backs, but they've been able to bail Goff out. The problem is the defense. Like the defense is amazing, but when they go out, they get a stop, and then Goff turns around and turns the ball over. Like 2 plays later, the defense hasn't had time to rest, so they're rushed right back onto the field. So it makes it hard on the defense when Goff's doing stuff like that. Believe me, my quarterback's doing the same damn thing. Like Derek Carr he's only got 4 interceptions all year, which is good, but he has 8 fumbles. Like that's why we got blown out against the Falcons was because Carr fumbled 3 times and threw a pick. Like he threw a pick six.
Yeah.
So yeah, turnover machine. I feel you there. And people are talking about, it's time to cut Carr. It really is. It's time to bench him. It's time to end it. I mean, I don't agree with benching Derek Carr this year because our backup is Nathan Peterman.
Oh, it's not Mariota?
Mariota's been inactive like pretty much all year. Like he's, I guess, in training camp, like in practice and stuff, he's been garbage. So they just keep him inactive.
Oh man.
So they're paying him like he. So everybody was saying that like when he first signed that he was the most expensive contract for backup, but he's not. It's all incentive based. So his base salary is like 1.7 million or something like that. But if he doesn't play at all, that's all he gets is 1.7 million. But as he plays, if he's actually active and he plays, he can make up to like 14 million this year or something like that. But I don't see him playing either. So it's okay, we run the rest of the season with Carr, and then that's the end of the show, you know.
Yeah.
And I think the Rams are in the same place with Goff.
Yeah, and I know that at least I don't know, but I feel like that the owner of the team is going to put pressure on McVay and is going to be like, hey, listen, you want to keep your job, you need to fix this problem, and I don't blame McVay if they do that at the end of the season solely because Sean McVay came in with Goff being the quarterback. He didn't pick Goff as his quarterback. He came into that situation, and I think he did a good job making do with it. But I feel like defenses now have figured out how to stop it. Because McVay, came in an offensive-minded genius, but then once defenses have figured out how to stop Goff, they need something new in there to throw defenses off. Everyone of course would love to have a Patrick Mahomes, but you might not get as lucky as finding someone like that, but you need to find someone who at least won't turn the ball over. I feel like Sean McVay can win games as long as the quarterback takes care of the ball. Like we could win more games this season if Goff just took care of the ball. Because when Goff does take care of the ball, we have been winning those games. We've games pretty easily. But once he's a turnover machine, we've just been barely losing them. And that's with him turning it over loads of times. I mean, we barely lost to the 49ers. It was 23-20. So, I mean, that's with him turning it over so much. So, if you just think, oh, if my quarterback can just like take care of the ball, then we would win those close games. Um, so with talking about that and getting that off of our chest with our teams, our frustration that we have with both of our teams, let's get into our top five, bottom five when it comes to that. I think a lot of teams kind of showed their hands for with what happened. Excuse me. Especially, I thought the Cardinals for a long time were going to be, a top five team, but they lost to the Patriots. Like I never would have saw that coming, so that kind of threw me off with that. But as always, we kind of like to start off with our bottom five first. Um, so I'll go first. At number five. Um, I'm going to go with the Detroit Lions at number five. They got stomped by the Texans in a Thanksgiving game. It's kind of the Lions' MO. They always get stomped. Um, and just nothing has been going good for them. They don't have enough talent around them, and their best wide receiver has been hurt for almost like the whole season. So um, at number four, I'm gonna go with Dallas. Um, Unfortunately, NFC East still a dumpster fire, but Dallas is at the bottom of the dumpster. So if there's a pecking order for the dumpster, they're still at the bottom. So, and then number three is going to be the Bengals. They don't have Burrow, and so the rest of their season is basically done. Number two is Jacksonville. They don't have an identity either. They just don't have anything going for them. They don't know who they are, and they don't have a quarterback. Um, and then wait, that was number two, right? Jacksonville, yeah. And then number one, of course, is the Jets. They will stay there the whole rest of the season. I think they set up camp. They have tents and fires and everything. They're making s'mores. Like they've made themselves comfortable as the worst team in the NFL. So I don't think they plan on moving or vacating that spot anytime soon.
Nope, they bought that house. So for me, it's kind of funny because my bottom five is the exact same as yours.
Oh, really?
Yep. No, I was actually like looking at something in the NFC East though. So yeah, I mean, I'm not really going to go over my bottom five because it literally is the exact same as yours. In the NFC East, every single team in the NFC East has led that division for at least a week.
Oh, really?
Yeah. How freaking funny is that?
That's hilarious. That's just too funny.
Like no other division can say that every team has led this year, and they've all led with losing records.
Oh my gosh. Well, since you had the same as me, I'll let you start off with the top five, so that way you can get some time in there.
All right, so the top five. Let's see. At number five, I think I'm gonna actually put. Yeah, I'm gonna put the Bills at number five. It's a toss up there between the Bills and the Titans. Really, the Titans. You said that they wouldn't beat the Colts because you thought the Colts are a top five team.
Yeah.
The Titans destroyed the Colts. Derrick Henry, of course, went off. The dude had 2 rushing touchdowns and a receiving touchdown. He had like 170 rushing yards or something like that. There's a reason that dude leads the NFL in rushing. So then number 4, I think, I'm going to put the Packers at number 4. Even though they had that bad loss to the Colts, they still bounced back from it. And they're still, I mean, it's an Aaron Rodgers led team. They're going to be a good team. They kind of have players that have been coming in and out, and then they went and signed Tavon Austin. So, I mean, Tavon Austin's not a great receiver, but that dude is a Swiss Army knife, and I think he'd be good. He'd be a good, useful tool for that Packers offense. It's nice to see him actually playing again, too, since the Cowboys cut him. Number 3, I have to go with the Saints. Even with Taysom Hill, man, they're killing it. Like they're doing great. They're running people over, and this week should be a pretty easy week for them, unless it's a trap game like the Raiders, because they're playing the same team that beat the Raiders. That irritated me. Sorry. Number 2 is the Steelers. They didn't do anything to convince me to jump to number 1, playing the Ravens. Like I said, I think it was more of a respect factor in that game that they didn't blow them out. But still, a depleted Ravens team that they should have blown out. They should have just, destroyed them. And then the number 1, of course, is the Chiefs. Chiefs, nobody can beat them. The Raiders, the only reason the Raiders beat them was it was kind of a revenge thing. Derek Carr's never won in Arrowhead. And then also the Chiefs had never lost under Patrick Mahomes against the Raiders. So the Raiders came in. The Chiefs came in a little overconfident. And they're like, oh, we've got this game. And then the Raiders were like, no, we're going to fight. But it's a division rival. Those are always tough games. So I think if the Chiefs would have came in a little more humble, that they probably would have blown the Raiders out. But yeah, I don't think anybody can beat the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs are probably going to go all the way to the Super Bowl again this year. I don't see anybody standing in their way.
Man, all right. Dang. Well, I mean, I definitely agree with a lot of your top 5 as well. So it seems like we're on the same page with most of this stuff. But you put the Bills at number 5, right?
Yeah.
Okay. See, so that's the only thing that I'm gonna change. So at number 5, I am gonna put the Titans. Like you said with Derrick Henry, and he's just a beast. That dude is like a modern day, he kind of reminds me of Jerome Bettis. He's just a wrecking ball. You can't tackle the guy. And he has, once he gets that speed going, you can't catch him either. So And Tannehill is doing what I wanted Goff to do, which is just don't turn the ball over. Like Tannehill's doing a good job of just not turning it over. He's doing what he needs to do to win the games, and that's the type of quarterback that you want. Um, and that's what the Rams had is what the Titans have right now. They had a good running game, and they had a quarterback who took care of the ball, and that's what the Rams had when they were going to the Super Bowl. And then, like you said, when Gurley went down, it was kind of just like, well, now we don't have that security blanket anymore, and if teams put um, more pressure on the Titans to throw the ball, I think they would struggle more, But as of right now, no one can stop, Derrick Henry. So they definitely shut me up with beating the Colts because I didn't think they would be able to do it. So they definitely proved me wrong when it came to that. So yeah, number 5 is the Tennessee Titans. Number 4 is gonna be the Packers, like you were saying. Aaron Rodgers and everything with him. I mean, and I didn't know that they signed Tavon Austin. So I mean, that opens up the playbook so much because you can do end arounds. You can do like wide receiver screens to him. He can return kicks and punts, and so like you said, he's a Swiss Army knife, and the playbook opens up a lot more with adding him to the offense. Excuse me. Number 3, I agree with you, is the New Orleans Saints. Um, you know, uh, Taysom Hill is doing a great job right now at managing everything, and they have opened up the playbook with him. I'm not sure how much longer Drew Brees is going to be out, but I think they feel that they can rest assured that the team will be taken care of until he gets back. So I don't think they're going to rush Drew Brees back. I don't think they're worried. Um, and the defense has stepped up a lot. So they're finally finding their groove. Because at the beginning of the season they weren't really doing so hot, but they've stepped it up a lot. And again, I agree with you as well. Number 2 is going to be the Steelers. They've been barely winning games, and they're not playing to their level of competition, like I was saying before. So they definitely. I mean, they're still undefeated. I'll still give them that, but they need to start playing over their competition instead of playing at the same level as their competition. And then number 1 is the Chiefs. I would be surprised, if, like I said before, if they don't get a first round bye. Like they gotta have the best record in the AFC by the time it's over. It's just with the Steelers, it's just crazy, with them being undefeated. So, but the Chiefs are uh, they could easily turn into a dynasty. I feel like they have the opportunity to do it. We'll see if they can take advantage of it or not. But I feel like they could turn into a dynasty and they could win like 3 out of 4 Super Bowls coming up. So um, we'll see if they can take advantage of it or not.
I don't like you saying that, but I agree with you.
I don't like what you say, but I like how you say it. No.
No, I have no choice but to agree with you. So, I saying that the Chiefs have the best could end up with the best record. I honestly could see that happening. So, looking at the Steelers' upcoming games, so they have Washington this week, and then they've got the Bills, the Bengals, which should be just a walk-off win.
Yeah.
Then they play the Colts and the Browns in the last 2 weeks. So I mean, those are going to be tough games for them. I mean, that could decide the division. Honestly, if the Browns win out, they win the division. If the the Steelers have to lose to the Colts and the Bills probably.
Yeah.
And then the Browns come in and beat the Steelers, they win the division. So I mean, the road to the division is possible because of the teams that the Steelers have to play they're tough teams. They're top 10 teams. It's not going to be easy for the Steelers. And I mean, I could see them losing the 3 games and nobody's going to beat the Chiefs. So the Chiefs end up with the number 1 seed, which will be nice because if the Raiders get the number 7 seed, they don't have to play the damn Chiefs in the first round.
Yeah, exactly. You can avoid that on that first round.
Yeah, I don't want them a third time.
All right, awesome. Well, now we get to the fun part, of course, which is the NFL picks of the week. NFL picks of the week. I gotta grab my my little lock and upset sign here. Get that ready to go. So let's look at the updated scores for our picks of the week.
I gained some ground on you.
Yep, so 142 and a half and 51 is me. And then you are at 129 and a half and 60. So, yeah, you gained a little ground on me. Neither of us got our locks or our upsets, which kind of hurt both of us. If you would have gotten both your lock and your upset, and I missed mine, you would have definitely gained a lot of ground when it came to that. But luckily, we both got ours wrong, so I didn't have to worry about that.
That is the first time this whole season that we've both missed on those.
Yeah. I mean, we had been doing pretty good. I mean, I know we've had one bad week before in the past, I remember, but this past week was kind of a miss. There was a lot of upsets that happened. Like I said, I never imagined the Cardinals losing to the Patriots, and some of
or
the other
Falcons beating the Raiders, or the 49ers beating the Rams. Like, this week was so damn weird.
But hopefully, fresh new start. We'll get some more W's this time with our picks. The first matchup that we'll start off with is the 7-4 Rams versus the 6-5 Cardinals. Since you're behind, I'll let you go first. Throw that in there, jab that in there.
Don't hate me for this, but I'm actually going to put this as my upset pick.
Oh, all right.
So they're like, don't hate me. Don't hate me. But I think Jared Goff continues his turnover ways and kind of hurts the team a little more than he should. I think it's going to be a close game, like a 24-21, So I think the Cardinals are going to take this game.
Going with the Cardinals. All right. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, unless Goff, kind of turns it around, it's going to be the same old recipe for a disaster. But I don't know. I always say this every year for the podcast. I really can't pick against my Rams since they're my team. So, I mean, I'm going with the Rams. And, I'm hoping it's one of those games where the Cardinals are coming in kind of feeling defeated because they just lost to the Patriots. You could say the same thing about the Rams, yes, because they just lost to the 49ers. But, the 49ers at least is a division game, a rivalry game. Cardinals-Patriots is not a rivalry game. Like, it's not even in the division. So I think they'll have a little bit more of a slump. Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like we can still get it done as long as we go back to the run game, which has been successful for us, and not put it in Goff's hands so much. I think Sean McVay got a little cocky when Goff was throwing all over the Buccaneers. He threw all over them, and so he was like, "Oh, well, let's keep that up," and then it was like, "Oh, nope, that was a fluke." Like, can't always have Goff slinging it around all the time. I mean, if he's hot, then that's good, but you got to rely more on the run game. So yeah, going with the Rams. Next matchup is the 9-2 Saints versus the 4-7 Falcons. So like you said before, hopefully it's not a trap game for it. I'm gonna go with the Saints though. I'm sorry. I mean, yes, I went against the Falcons last week and it bit me in the butt, but I don't think the Falcons can handle Taysom Hill if he scrambles out of the pocket, or if he decides to do run play action and then just runs excuse me, and then just runs the ball. So, yeah, I'm going to go with the Saints.
So, by my logic earlier in the season, the Falcons should win this game because the Raiders beat the Saints. Falcons beat the Raiders, so the Falcons should win this game, but too bad their team's a dumpster fire. And that really was a fluke game, like the Raiders just were off. I think part of it was the play calling of John Gruden, honestly, but Falcons definitely came in prepared. And they're going to come in prepared for this because it's a division game, but I still don't think they're going to be able to handle the Saints. So, yeah, I'm going with the Saints as well.
Fair enough. Next matchup is the 4-7 Lions versus the 5-6 Bears. Got Bears.
So Bears.
All right, who you got?
Both these teams, like the Bears, we said at the beginning of the season when they were tearing it up, we're like, they're pretenders. There's no way they keep this up, and of course they haven't. And then last week they went and started Mitch Trubisky again, like instead of Nick Foles. I don't know what happened there. I don't pay attention to the Bears that much because if I do, then my wife gets mad because she's a Packers fan. So I don't really care. But out of this game, I really think the Bears are still going to win it.
All right, awesome. Man, this one's a toss-up for me just because, obviously Matthew Stafford is a better quarterback than Trubisky. But, the Bears defense could, step up and be able to, could be able to stop the Lions. Yeah, I'll go with the Bears as well, just for the sole fact maybe that defense will help them out and help get a win for them, help Trubisky out there a little bit. Next matchup is the 8-3 Browns versus the 8-3 Titans. So this is a big game for both teams. Man, so I get to start with this one. So I guess, again, same logic that I used last week, and it bit me in the butt, but I can't really go against that logic. Since I put the Titans in the top 5, I got to go with the Titans. Hopefully that's not the kiss of death for them, but both teams have a great running game. That's the thing. So it's just like whose defense is going to step up and stop the run game more, So I'm gonna go with the Titans because I feel like good old King Henry is gonna come out on top and have more rushing yards than the Browns running backs.
So this one's hard for me because these are the two teams that I picked to win their divisions.
Yeah.
And they're both sitting at the same record right now. Like the Browns actually have to win out to win the division, and they have to get some help from the Steelers. The Titans could probably lose a game, and still win their division. The Browns can't. If they lose one more game, they're not going to win the division. It's done. It's over. Oh man, I struggle with this because the Browns defense, when they played the Raiders, gave up almost 200 rushing yards, but that was playing in the snow. So I mean, I'm really struggling with this one, but I'm actually going to go against you, and I think the Browns are actually going to take this game.
Oh wow!
I think it's going to be close, but I think this is the game where Derrick Henry starts to get slowed down just a little bit, and Tannehill starts throwing the ball, and he makes a few mistakes, and the mistakes just compound and cost them the game. So I think the Browns actually take this one.
Alrighty. Awesome. Well, like I said, it's going to be a big game for both teams, so it'll be interesting to see who's going to come out on top of it. The next matchup is the 2-8-1 Bengals versus 7-4 Dolphins. Already.
All right. Yeah, Dolphins. Like, I don't even want to talk about this game because the Bengals losing Joe Burrow ended their season. They're done.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I'm going with the Dolphins as well. Bengals being in my, bottom 5, again, by that logic, I need to go with the Dolphins. So, next matchup is the 1-10 Jaguars versus the 5-6 Vikings. All right, so I'm actually gonna throw up my lock here, and I'm gonna go with the Vikings. I'm gonna lock that in. I'm gonna lock it up because the Delvin Cook is gonna freaking run all over the Jaguars. Like, he's gonna have a monster game against them. It's just gonna be ugly. Like, people are gonna have to look away. They're gonna be like, "Turn it off, change the channel." Like, no, like, stop it. He's already dead. Like, it's gonna be bad. So, I'm going with the Vikings, and I'm gonna lock that in.
Nice. I think this is going to be the game where we see the reverse play action. So it's going to be a draw like every damn play. So it's going to be Kirk Cousins pretending to throw it and just hand it off to Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook's going to run for 800 yards in this game. No, not really. The record's only 330. But anyway, yeah, no, there's Jaguars are not going to have an answer for Dalvin Cook. And then once they actually start stacking up the box, then you're going to open up Adam Thielen, who's their tight end? Kyle Rudolph and Justin Jefferson. It's just going to be bombs over the head. They have nobody to stop that either. Their cornerbacks are slow because they've traded everybody off. So the Jaguars at the beginning of the year said this is a rebuilding year. And then they come out and they win the first game of the season, and everybody's like, "Oh, they might actually do good." And even I said that. I was like, "Wow, that was kind of surprising. They might do good." And then they've lost every game since. Yep. So I have to go with the Vikings on this. The Jaguars don't have an answer to stop them.
Already, next matchup is the 6-5 Raiders versus the 0-11 Jets. Yeah,
I know this one's hard because last year the Raiders were 6-4, came in, played the Jets, who were one of the worst teams in the league, and it was a trap game, and got blown out 35-3. It was 35-3. And then this year, the Raiders 6-4. They come in, they play a trap game against the Falcons and get blown out 43-6. Last year, the Raiders finished off the rest of the season 1-5, which means they lost 5 of the remaining games after going 6-4. I'm hoping that they don't pull that bull crap this year. They're playing flat out the worst team in the NFL, a team that's basically given up so bad that the players want off the team. They're like, we don't want to be here. And I don't understand how Adam Gase still has a job.
Yeah.
Does not make sense. The dude, he's won, 3 games in his 2 seasons with the Jets? That's terrible. I'm hoping this isn't a trap game, so I'm going to lock it in as the Raiders.
Lock it in, lock it up.
I'm hoping they come back with a vengeance, saying, "You know what? Last week was a fluke. Screw this. We're not losing to a crappy team again."
All right, fair enough. No, I'm joking. I'm gonna go with the Raiders on this one as well. Can't pick the worst team in the NFL. So 0-12. All right, next matchup: the 7-4 Colts versus the 4-7 Texans. Um, Texans looked good last week, but I mean that's against the Lions. So the Colts are a whole different animal. So I still, even though the Colts fell out of the top 5 for me, I'm still going with the Colts. They still have one of the top defenses in the NFL. So I don't think the Texans will be able to do very much against them.
They actually have the number 1 defense in the NFL, even after all the yards they gave up to Derrick Henry. Number 1 defense still in the NFL. Deshaun Watson's looked good lately. He really has. You know, that makes me kind of lean a little towards the Texans, but then I remember how crappy they're doing. Yeah, Colts.
Easy peasy. Next matchup is the 4-7 Giants versus the 8-3 Seahawks. Um, Seahawks kind of getting lucky with this easier schedule going down the stretch with playing the NFC East teams. Um, so that could help them with winning the division. Giants needing a win to stay in first place in their division. Um, but I'm gonna go with the Seahawks. I feel like they're too much of DK Metcalf is an animal. He's kind of own as almost like a Julio Jones. He kind of reminds me a lot of Julio. So um, yeah, he's gonna tear up the Giants.
By the way, thanks for that trade. giving me DK Metcalf at the beginning of the season. Yeah, I knew he was going to be money this year. So, I mean, it wasn't a bad trade. I don't remember who I gave you, but
CD.
to you? Oh, yeah. So, I mean, it wasn't a terrible trade. CD Lamb's done all right this year, but he definitely hasn't.
Prescott's not playing. If Prescott was playing, Lamb would be doing better. So.
Yeah, it'd be a lot better. But yeah, DK Metcalf, I could see the Julio Jones comparison because everything Russell Wilson throws at him, he catches. But I think he's faster, he's stronger. I can't say he's more reliable, which right now, injury wise, he is more reliable than Julio Jones. But yeah, I think DK Metcalf is going to end up being one of the best receivers in the NFL, like of all time. He's that good, and 32 teams passed on him.
Yeah.
Some teams twice. Terrible to say that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll go with the Seahawks on this as well. I don't think the Giants have the team to be able to stop the Seahawks, even though the Seahawks aren't as good as their record shows. I still don't think that the Giants are a team that can beat the Seahawks.
Yeah. Next matchup is the 7-1 Eagles versus the 8-3 Packers.
That's my pick, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why Packers done?
Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Yeah, Packers.
That's not even going to be a game.
Yeah, it's like moving on. All right.
Yep.
All right. So the next matchup is the 5-6 Patriots versus the 3-8 Chargers. I get to start with this one, and I'm actually throwing up my upset pick, and I'm gonna go with the Chargers. I think the Chargers will come out, and Herbert's gonna have a good game against the Patriots. I know the Patriots just beat the Cardinals, but I still don't have very much faith in the Patriots. And I feel like the Chargers have more weapons. So yeah, going with the Chargers.
So last week, I think the Chargers lost, right? Or did they actually win their game? No, they won.
Let me take a look. No, they lost against the Bills, 27-17.
Oh, okay. So they lose the game in which, the hell's his name? Oh, why am I brain farting on the receiver's name?
For who?
The Chargers.
Keenan Allen.
Yeah, Keenan Allen caught 16 passes.
Dang.
That's 6 short of the NFL record. He caught 16 passes. That's nuts. So yeah, on this game, I think the Patriots beating the Cardinals was a fluke. You know, Cam Newton came out and he's like, I'm telling you, our team's great. We're gonna go this far. Blah blah blah. No, the rest of your team sucks, and you're gonna prove how much you suck against the Chargers, who are record-wise one of the worst teams in the NFL, but they've lost all their games like by not big margins at all. Like they've shown that they're a good, resilient team. They're just not finishing the games, and I think they start finishing the games against the Patriots. So yeah, I'm going with the Chargers.
Nice. All right, and then the next matchup, the Sunday night matchup, is the 4-7 Broncos versus the 10-1 Chiefs.
Making me pick this one first? Really? Where's this game? Is it Mile High or Arrowhead?
Arrowhead.
Chiefs. Oh wait, no matter where it was, Chiefs.
Yeah, I was gonna say it doesn't anyway. So, yeah, going with the Chiefs as well. They should have a pretty dominant game against them. So.
Yeah, I think the Broncos are starting Blake Bortles.
Oh, really? Okay.
I think so. Like I read somewhere that they were going to start Blake Bortles because he was the first quarterback to get out of the COVID protocols.
Fair enough. Hey, you got to play some type of quarterback. So.
Right. Instead of a practice squad wide receiver that's never even practiced as a quarterback.
Hey, I mean, I'll give it to them. They at least tried to play the game instead of just forfeiting. So.
Yeah, they had 141 total yards in the entire game.
Oh man.
They threw more interceptions than they did completions to the rest of their team. They had 1 completion, 2 interceptions.
Oh no. Oh my goodness. Well, the Monday night game has 2 matchups because of them having to move games. So the first Monday night matchup is the 4-7 Washington football team versus the 11-0 Steelers. Yeah, again, Steelers, this is going to be another one that keeps them undefeated. The Washington football team doesn't have an answer, so I'm going with the Steelers. That defense is still stout, and, Washington has a good defensive front, but, I still feel like they're going to be able to throw the ball enough on them. So, yes, Steelers stay undefeated with the easy NFC East team. So.
I think this could be a trap game for the Steelers.
Oh, really?
I really do. I really do. I think they're going to come in underestimating the Washington football team. Like, Washington has a receiver that can just blow the top off. He's probably the 3rd fastest receiver in the NFL right now. Yeah. And that says a lot because I think he's faster than Hollywood Brown. I think he's faster than John Brown. I think the 2 fastest receivers are Tyreek Hill and Henry Ruggs. But Terry McLaurin is right behind him. Yeah. And he has started showing up in recent weeks. I really think this could be a trap game. It doesn't mean that I'm going against the Steelers because I think the Steelers are going to end up winning the game. But I think they're going to come in a little overconfident, and Washington's going to blow the lid off just a little bit, and then the Steelers are going to have to reel it back and actually finish the game strong. But I think they're going to be playing from behind early in the game. So Steelers are still going to win, though.
Alrighty. Second Monday night football game is the 8-3 Bills versus the 5-6 49ers.
Nick Mullins has actually been playing pretty well, but he's no Josh Allen. Bills.
Yeah, I don't think the Bills will have, or sorry, I don't think the 49ers will have an answer um, for Josh Allen. Like if he decides to run the ball on them, like if he scrambles or steps up in the pocket, I don't think the 49ers will be able to handle it. Um, they've been getting pretty creative with their play calling too. The Bills have, so I'm gonna go with the Bills on this one. Um, yeah, I think they'll probably blow them out of the water. And then the final game, which is kind of random. Well, I think it's the final game.
Yeah, it's a Tuesday game.
Oh, well, they're going to have one on Thursday night as well. So they're going to have a Tuesday game and a Thursday game. So the Tuesday game is the 3-8 Cowboys versus the 6-5 Ravens. I get to start off with this one.
Wait, what's the team?
The 3-8 Cowboys and the 6-5 Ravens.
Yeah, I thought you said the Jaguars for some reason. I was like, wait, what?
Maybe I don't know.
Cowboys, right?
So yeah, the with this one, I'm gonna go with the Ravens. Hopefully Lamar is back by then. Hopefully the rest of their players are back by then. Even if they have the depleted Ravens team again, I still feel like they could beat the Cowboys. That's how bad the Cowboys are. So either way, I think the Cowboys still take the L, unfortunately.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, I can't say the Cowboys are going to win this game. And we made a pact to never go for the Cowboys again after they disappointed us earlier in the season.
That is true. Very true. So yeah, the Thursday night game, I didn't know that they were still going to have one, is the 5-6 Patriots versus the 7-4 Rams. So yeah, you get to start off with this one.
I think the Rams bounce back after their loss on Sunday. After they lose to the Cardinals on Sunday, I think they're going to bounce back and give the Patriots their second loss in a row. So, because the Patriots are going to lose on Sunday too.
Alrighty, fair enough. Like I said at the beginning, when I picked the Rams to beat the Cardinals, I can't go against my team, so going with the Rams. The Patriots have kind of had our number in the past, because of Bill Belichick. But I feel like with them having their depleted defense, that we'll be able to, finally get a win against them. And they're playing in LA, so I think, that'll help us playing at home as well. So, yeah, Rams, if we get those 2 wins back to back, will start giving us some momentum going into the other weeks. Because then after that, we have the Jets. So,
all right, I'm locking that one in right now.
He's done deal. I get the Rams against the Jets. Oh my goodness. That'd be too funny. Like, yeah, I want to call like week 17. I'm locking in right now. Just call
whoever's playing the Jets.
Awesome. Well, that does wrap up our picks of the week. We have a lot of games that are going to be playing. Was there anything that you wanted to add into that?
Earl Thomas still not signed.
Not signed. They just need like a button to press where it just it does it without you even having to speak. I just press it and then Earl Thomas still not signed.
Right. Well, it was Jadeveon Clowney earlier in the year, and then he got signed, and he's actually done pretty good with the Titans.
Yeah, it was funny doing that with Clowney for that long time. I guess to add in real quick with wrapping up, fantasy football this coming week is the last week. So tomorrow, or not tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow. So tomorrow is, the last week for fantasy football. A lot of close divisions. you have a chance to be in the playoffs with getting a W, at least having like a higher ranking. I'm tied for first place with Boo Boo, so I need
1 point.
Huh?
You would be in first place. So Brian has 1,217 points for. You have 1,216.
Oh.
That's the only reason he's in first place, and that's the only reason Nico.
Yeah.
Is it Nico or Nico?
Nico. Yeah, you got it right.
Yeah. He's ahead of me, even though I beat him last week. Like I destroyed him last week. It was like 100 to like 40. Like I destroyed him. We had the same record. Or no, he was 1 game up on me. Now we're tied. We have the same record, but he's still ahead of me because he has 20 more points for than I do. Like, no. And of course, your wife in first place. I think it's rigged.
She was so upset when she was losing her games at the beginning of the season, and now she's like kind of made a little comeback there. And I told her, I said, you shouldn't count yourself out so quickly. Like she was already ready to give up the season, and I was like, nah, you need to stay positive. Like it'll be all right. It's a long season. But both me and her are gunning for that first round bye. We really want it, and that way won't have to worry about losing in the first week. Can try to make it through.
Let's see. I can get the first round bye if her and Nico lose and I win. Then I get the first round bye on my side.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, Mel, I'm gonna say Mel has done awesome. She was 2-4 after the first 6 weeks, and she's won 6 straight weeks. Like she's kind of tore people apart.
Yeah. I just realized that Boo Boo just changed his team name to Team Better Than Matt's.
Yep. That's too funny. I'm gonna have to change mine after next year because we're not gonna have Derek Carr anymore. So.
Yeah, you're gonna have to come up with a different creative name for that.
Hey, my name was great because I dropped that name as soon as Derek Carr got injured, and it was car insurance. I freaking love that team name. But
gosh, man, this is crazy. So yeah, as of right now, you're not in the playoffs, but you need to get that. You need to get that W.
yeah, I've got to win. Let's see, and I'm projected to win against Andrew.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that I will.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, it'll be an interesting week. Needed to look at the matchups here, see who Brian is playing against. Now your nephew really upset me because he had a chance to beat Boo Boo, and he just didn't start like the right people, and so
We've all made that mistake this year.
I think we'll try to get maybe Paul from the Guinness World Records to join in instead to get some more competitiveness in there.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
But yeah, Brian is going against Utah Blaze, who is in the playoffs and who is up there as well. So I might have a chance for him to actually lose against him. He doesn't have an easy game this time. Of course, I don't have an easy game either against Nico, so it'll be interesting. And Nico is the defending champ, so he's trying to repeat his title run against us. So.
Oh wait, I beat the defending champ.
Yeah. So awesome. Well, all right. Well, we appreciate everyone listening. We appreciate everyone watching for our YouTube and everything. Go check out our YouTube channel, Sports Harder Podcast. Subscribe, get the notifications. Go and watch the old YouTube videos. We still have the one from last week with Paul, the Guinness World Record holder for most Funko Pops collected. It's a little hard to hear him on the audio version, so definitely go and watch the video version. It's a lot easier to hear him, and that way you can see his pops. He's got his pops, and he shows some of his pops as well. But as always, you can check us out on Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcasts, all the podcast subscribing stations. You can subscribe to us. Just search for Sports Harder Podcast. As always, just check us out on Facebook. We put up, breaking news stuff when it does happen. Sports Harder Podcast on Facebook. Check us out on Instagram at sports_harder_podcast. Check us out on Twitter at Sports Harder P, capital S, capital P at the end. We try to keep up with those things as much as possible and try to post the really important news things when they happen. We try to get you guys involved. Anytime you comment or leave comments, we'll always read them on the podcast and talk about them and try to get some good discussions going. We'll see about next week's podcast when we can do it. Most likely I'm going to be moving during that time, so we'll see. We'll try to fit it in during all the moving and stuff like that. If not, we'll do it later on the weekend or something like that, like we did today. So, anything else you want to add in there that I forgot?
No, thanks for all the support for everybody that does listen, and it's appreciated. We love you.
Yes, definitely.
About it.
All right, so we will catch you guys on the flip side then.
Later.
Peace.